Compliance with the Open Public Meeting Law. I wish to state that on August 5th, 2022, the notice of the meeting, the Upper Township Committee was posted on the official Township Bulletin Board, the Upper Township website, mailed to the Cape May County Gazette, the Atlantic City Press, the Ocean City Sentinel Ledger, the Herald Times, and filed with the Township Clerk. Tonight's meeting is being video recorded up to until the closed session portion of this meeting and will be available on the Upper Township website. I hereby direct this announcement be made part of the minutes of this meeting. Will you please call a roll?
Flagstone.
Oh, sorry, Flagstone, yes.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Barbara, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Cox?
Here.
Ms. Hayes?
Here.
Mr. Niven?
Here.
Mr. Pankos?
Here.
Eric Wilson?
Present.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the July 25th regular and closed session minutes.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Ms. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Niven?
Yes.
Mr. Pankos?
Yes.
Eric Wilson?
Yes.
Motion is carried. All in favor?
Okay, starting with Mark there, do you have anything for us tonight?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let's see, from the Public Works side, we have just a notice that August obviously has a couple extra days in it, so it's a little longer. They're going to be doing a second collection of the compost. So they're going to begin that second collection on 22nd to help out the residents with those extra days and some of the extra compost that might be out there. We have a quote in from one of our security vendors to add additional security and technology to Caldwell Park. So I'm working through that with Paul to make sure that we can get better coverage down there for the recent events that have happened down there. We're working on, and hopefully we should have in the next couple of weeks, our virtual leaf collection map up on our website. That'll tie in the wintertime to the plowing, snow plowing. So that'll be a useful tool that we'll have on the website for our citizens to check on the progress of the different events that they're taking care of. Mr. Kazmarski in code enforcement was busy corralling chickens and roosters again. Looks like dilapidated fences, tall grass and debris and things like that. So other than that, I believe that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you, Mark. John, do you have anything?
Yeah, I'd just like to compliment Mr. Reeves, Ms. Hayes, and anyone else who had to do with the installation of the disc golf course at Amanda's Field. The public reaction to that seems to be very favorable, and I think it's a very nice addition to Amanda's Field. That's it.
Thank you, John. Kim, do you have anything?
Oh, we have a few things, right? So first, I just want to touch on the engineer Paul and I had an on-site visit with some representatives from County Open Space in reference to our skate park application. We got some really good feedback from them as far as like some ideas for further improvements there. So we're in the process of taking those ideas and that collaboration and resubmitting a new application. So that's just a little bit of an update on what's going on with the skate park area. Additionally, Mr. Pankos touched on it a little bit. There was a fire at Caldwell Park on August 1st. Appeared to be an act of vandalism. Fire company, thank you, Mr. Newman, was able to assist. New Jersey State Police, Lieutenant Rocat, where there was a filed with them. So we are looking into trying to catch the culprits. Committeeman Pankos and I had a very good conversation about how to expand the camera coverage there with his oversight of our IT department. He had some excellent ideas of how to not only improve the cameras, but also decrease the cost of what we're putting into without getting a great result from there. I have a meeting scheduled later this week with the administrator and our recreation leader to start to look into some ways to have some like later hours recreation for our youth. It seems that this vandalism issue is continuing to go on throughout our parks, and the presumption is that it's youth just making bad decisions, and we're hoping to be able to give them somewhere where they can have a secure environment to gather rather than vandalizing our parks after hours unsupervised. So more to come on that as well. I also have a request from the clerk's office that we renew our membership to the Cape May County Chamber of Commerce for a cost of $750. So I would like to put that in the form of a motion, and we'll ask for a second.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Ms. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mr. Pankos?
Yes.
Mayor Forsyth?
Yes.
Motion's carried.
And that's all I have.
Jay, do you have anything for us?
Yes, of course. On the beach, once again, we still continue to have problems with beach holes and the safety issue that it occurs. And I hate to keep bringing it up, but I think something needs to be happening. We definitely need to put something in signage out there. And we could probably add a line to our current ordinance that wouldn't take up too much time or space, and it probably won't be ready until next season. But the signage anyway could refer back to an ordinance that gives the lifeguards authority to order those holes closed, because it's becoming continues to become a nuisance and a safety issue. Also, we have had multiple calls on the beach. I would say calls on the beach, but we've had, according to Chief Hanley's stats, for the total for the year, this year, we've had approximately 35,000 beach visits. That's from Memorial Day to present. I'm assuming it's till this last Friday or last Saturday, and then the week starts again on Sunday. But we've had 35,000 residents, 35,000 visits to the beach, and that's an estimated number. That's a pretty good, pretty busy beach season, but it has been quite hot. They've had 27 actual events that occurred on there that they had to respond to, including 6 medicals, 4 lost persons, 27 fish outs, and they've performed 4,647 preventative action. So it's been quite busy over there from what I can understand. I also, in looking back, and we talked about it at the last meeting, about changing our ordinance regarding door-to-door sales. And I only got reports of it, but I had a door-to-door salesman show up at my house on Saturday and knock on my door. So this is the second time that it's happened. I went out, and this time the gentleman was, to me, appropriately dressed and had an ID, and he was actually trying to sell plug stuff, yeah. So I informed him of that the township did have an ordinance at this time that is in effect that prohibits door-to-door sales, and we're in the process of changing it. Either way, he was not allowed to be here, and that was the case, and he needed to move on, get his vehicle, and apparently they're going around in Segways. I don't know if you've had that down there at your house or John, on yours at all, because I got reports that they were in Chadwin and Gladwin. And
I saw some guys on Segways, but they didn't come down my street. I couldn't figure out what they were doing.
That's what they're doing. They have a little chart and they're trying to sell you.
I know they went down Corson Tavern Road and hit a couple of those neighborhoods. They didn't do the Route 9
Yeah,
corridor.
because it's too far apart.
Yeah.
They're gonna go into the neighborhoods. So I explained to him that he couldn't do it. Right now, we have banned door-to-door sales. And he said, okay. I went out and went back out because Fran had a project for me, which I was injured on. And I pulled her car out of the garage, and there he is talking to my next door neighbor. I said, wait a second. Now I said, look, I'll tell you right now, I will call the state police and have them come down and talk to you. And then I got reports that him and another buddy of his were on Segways down in different neighborhoods. They continued on. I don't know, other than I think it's a good thing that we change the ordinance and put it out there that you can put a no solicitation sign, and also that you're required to get a permit. That would be a good thing, and it probably needs to move forward sooner rather than later, and get that going. And that way our local sign makers can really cash in on this by putting no solicitation signs up.
Well, there has been, since our last discussion in our meeting, there has been some feedback. I personally got some feedback, and most people I know don't even want them in their neighborhood.
Yes, yeah. Oh, that's, I was wondering if we could put one on the whole neighborhood instead of a solicitation for the neighborhood. But in that event, I'll go around, I'll be selling signs coming up, so just let me know. Somehow make some money off this. But,
Door to door.
and that's a joke, by the way. Also, anything else on that?
No.
I also want to Chief Coker's report. Just so you know, we're a pretty busy operation over here, EMS wise anyway. We've been busy all month numbers wise, or all in July numbers wise, and we had multiple motor vehicle accidents. 138 total calls last month. That's average of 4 a day. That's, actually above 4 a day. That's pretty busy. And we'll, can you add anything to that, Chief? What's that?
I said I got a couple other things.
Go ahead.
Related to the numbers.
Well, the floor is yours.
Go ahead.
We talked about a lifeline a while ago, that's still in play, it's just too chaotic rolling out the summertime, because I know we're going to most on the way, so that's still on the radar, to roll out this fall. And today, we got spot inspected by the state at Cape and Capital Flying Colors. Not surprising. The staff have been really good with keeping on their chores and their tasks and such like that, so, they look for things as little as pinholes in our bed sheets and things like that, that they can fail us and find us on. But they went through an entire front to back inspection, including them themselves, and we had no problems.
It's very good. That, just so you know, for everybody's edification, these ambulances are inspected annually by the state Department of OEMS, right? Office of Emergency Medical Services. It's a part of the Department of Health, and they have certain requirements that they have to live up to. And they can also get inspected on a spot inspection, as the chief just mentioned, down at Burdett, or not Burdett, Cape. That's how old I am. Cape Regional, and that is, and they can also inspect and demand that the EMTs that are on board produce identification and their EMT certification and CPR card. That's all some of the stuff that could happen, and obviously we are up to date and squared away. What was the other thing that you mentioned prior to that? The Lifeline, for those who don't know, is a program which we will, which residents, it's kind of a little bit different than Ocean Cities, I guess, but they will be making phone calls to individual residents to check on them on a daily basis. And that program, if we don't hear from somebody or if we have a problem, we have to coordinate a little bit with the state police and make sure and do a well-being check. And it's mostly for our senior citizens or shut-ins. So keep that program up, and that'll be a great benefit to our township. Another reason why we have our own division of EMS.
And that's something, if we do have somebody sign up for Lifeline, we should try to put with a,
Knox box.
Knox box. That'd be a good tool to use in conjunction with.
Well, the Knox boxes on personal residence, in all honesty, get a little expensive. On a commercial, it might be, that could be an option for them if they'd like that.
So Chief Coker, someone who's been through many state inspections in the healthcare field, congratulations to you and your crew, because I know how tough they are.
It's the staff, it's out there every beginning of every shift, checking the trucks, some of them are getting checked twice a day, so.
Yeah, it's tough to pass with flying colors, so congratulations, and on behalf of the township, our thanks, because that makes us look good too.
And it's tough to send all 3 ambulances up to Trenton, because that's where they gotta go to get it tested in most cases, and come back with nothing, and no corrective actions either. So, thank you very much.
All good stuff. Thank you. At this time, I have nothing, so
Before we move on, I had one more left over from mine. I apologize, slipped through. The state is looking to conduct gypsy moth survey in the fall. Doesn't cost anything, but I need to make that in the form of a motion. in a
Second.
please call the roll.
Mr. Cobbin?
Yes.
Ms. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mr. Pankos?
Yes.
Mayor Corson?
Yes.
Carried.
All right,
Let's start here.
Gary, do you have anything for us tonight?
I want to thank NJSP for helping us at Caldwell Park. The report was done expeditiously, and I hope we can continue to refine what we can do over there and how we can curtail some of the nonsense that's been plaguing our parks, and some of the graffiti, some things are getting tagged. I know Committee in Pancos had called in a couple of things that got tagged, and the county took care of that for us, so I do appreciate that. Great meeting with the SIA today, fantastic, just a nice dialogue with the mayor and I sat down for close to an hour or so, going over some of the issues. It's good to continue that conversation. I did receive a bunch of phone calls about that Segway gentleman. And I gave the same advice that since there's no tag on the vehicle, you have to identify who that person is, and to immediately call the police department, get an ID on that gentleman, and then we can kind of curtail what they're doing and what they're not doing. So laws are for honest people, so no matter what the ordinance says, right now we have an ordinance that says you can't do it, they're still doing it. But to anybody that's out in our audience land, please contact the police department, get them identified, and then we'll follow up that way, because the companies that they work for don't answer phones and are very difficult to get some accountability. I want to recommend Barb Ludi for the conference in Atlantic City. It's $550. It's a 3-day conference, but it gives her the required CEUs that she's required to keep as her in her
To keep up my certification for
certifications. That's
Chief
what it is.
Financial Officer.
I'll put that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Conlon?
Yes.
Ms. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mr. Pankos?
Yes.
Mayor Corson?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Chief Coker, thank you very much for kind of starting to intertwine yourself into our parking. They're starting to learn the systems and getting a uniform presence down in that Strathmere, so it worked out well. Saturday, I had them do a shift Saturday. Again, they used the warning systems and they used the directed patrol, highly visible in the various locations that we needed the influence, and it worked out very well. I got a very nice response. Relative to number 9 on the consent agenda, we're gonna pull that, and if we can have that to go to a closed session so we can just get a little more definition on the contract. Mayor, that's all I have at this point. Barbara, you wanna talk about the band?
I do, I mean, I can
Yeah,
wait until we go around the room
Okay,
for
okay.
reports if you'd like.
Please.
Barbara, do you have anything for us?
Eh.
Barbara Young.
Nothing to report.
Dan, you have anything?
Nothing to report, Mr. Mayor.
Paul, one thing, completing up the design plans for the reconstruction of the last section of Bayview Drive and also Prescott, I'll be getting out those draft plans to committee to take a look at that, and then once I finalize that, I'll also be sending out notices to the residents along those streets so they can be informed of what's gonna be constructed along the front of their properties in the fall of this year. And that project will also include some drainage improvements, which will tie into the stormwater pumping that we're looking to add down there also.
Could you have a paper copy for Gary by Monday, or I mean by Saturday?
Yes,
Because we're going to be going to Strathmere Firehouse for a meeting with the Home Improvement Association, so that might be something we could take with us.
I'll have a paper copy for him.
Yes, and I already gave the other copy of the planning board subcommittees.
Yep.
They've already passed that along. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. And then the last thing I have is, it's really just about 2 items that are in the consent agenda. I just wanted to give a brief update, and even for the public's edification. They're the items of 12 and 13 regarding payments out of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. That's to establish a market to affordable house. It's one of our items that we have to do as part of our affordable housing program, but it's essentially, we help subsidize and buy down a mortgage so that somebody that's income eligible can purchase that house. And they have deed restrictions in there that they have to maintain that deed restricted affordability for 30 years. And if they sell it during that, there's some recapture in that buy down. So I just wanted the committee to be aware of that. That's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Barbara?
Yes, just have one report that I wanted to give to you. We had a band sale last week, and wanted to report the results of that. We took 4 bids for our $3,450,000 band. As you recall, it was originally, last year it was $3.8 million. Through the budget, we were paying down $350,000. So we're borrowing $3,450,000. Took 4 bids, like I said. They ranged anywhere from 2.8% to 2.989%. Some premium was involved, but the best bid was the 2.8 to Amboy Bank that was awarded. So we will pay 2.8% on that money for a year. Just wanted to give you that update. We'll go to settlement next week on that. Bond counsel will assist with that, but later this week, I'll be reaching out to the mayor and the clerk to have the paperwork signed, so we can complete settlement next week. That's all I had.
Thank you. All right. Barbara, I think we'll start on the consent agenda.
I do want, I just need a motion for the, to adopt the filing of the reports.
I'll make a motion.
A second. Second.
Please call the roll, excuse me.
Seeing
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Ms. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mr. Pankus?
Yes.
Yes.
Motion is carried. All in favor?
Thank you.
And we have the items on the consent agenda with the exception of item number 9, which will be moved to closed session.
I'll move the consent agenda with the exception of item number 9.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Ms. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mr. Pankus?
Yes.
Mayor Corson?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 15, under ordinances, introduction and first reading of ordinance number 2022, an ordinance authorizing the sale of a 2005 Sterling 750 vacuum jetter truck.
Okay, what's going to be our
Hearing
what day?
September 12th.
September 12th. I would like to make a motion that we introduce ordinance number 20 of 2022 with a public hearing and final adoption scheduled for September 12th.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Ms. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mr. Pankus?
Yes.
Mayor Corson?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 16, authorizing the introduction and first reading of ordinance number 21, 2022, an ordinance authorizing the exchange and sale of certain parcels of vacant grounds within the township of Upper to the Tuckahoe Volunteer Fire Company, subject to certain terms and conditions. Again, public hearing September 12th.
I'll move ordinance that we introduce ordinance number 21 of 2022 with a public hearing and final adoption scheduled for September 12th.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Ms. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mr. Pankus?
Yes.
Mayor Corson?
Yes.
Motion carried. Introduction and first reading of ordinance number 22, 2022. An ordinance authorizing the Township of Upper to purchase the property known as Block 566, Lot 1, on the official tax map of the Township of Upper for a nominal consideration, and to enter into a lease agreement with the County of Cape May for the premises known as the Upper Township Senior Center. And again, we'll go with September 12th.
Mr. Mayor, I do have one brief note. For the committee, the contract and lease are in the same exact form they were in at last meeting. There's going to be one change, which I've already discussed with County Counsel Jeff Lindsay. He has approved it. The contract and lease currently provide that the township would have 90 days to achieve subdivision. After speaking with Mr. Dietrich, we determined that was not going to be anywhere near enough time. Most likely, we're going to be asking the developer to actually submit the application for subdivision. So, in consultation with Mr. Dietrich, we decided we would ask for 1 year with the 6-month extension. The county agreed to that, so we should have plenty of time for the subdivision. That's the one change.
So I'll move the introduction of ordinance number 22 of 2022 with a public hearing and final adoption scheduled for September 12th.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Ms. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mr. Pankus?
Yes.
Mayor Corson?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 18, under new business, Historical Preservation Society of Upper Township requests use of the Tuckahoe Train Station grounds for the Tuckahoe Transportation Heritage Festival on September 24th, 2022. And if we approve this, we would have a resolution at the next meeting.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Ms. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mr. Pankos?
Yes.
Mayor Corson?
Yes.
I just want to throw out there that Paul Mulligan is the gentleman. He had asked me to express that he will be offering the railroading merit badge. I know you guys are probably not in that age group for Boy Scouts, but we'll put it out to the public that the railroading merit badge will be offered at that festival.
And if anybody has never experienced Mr. Mulligan's tour of the trains, it's actually pretty fascinating. He's like personally responsible for rehabbing all of those trains there, and his knowledge is just extensive, and it's really interesting.
I'm excited myself.
I hereby move that all claims submitted for payment at this meeting be approved and then incorporated in full in the minutes of this meeting.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Coggins?
I would like to amend that motion to exclude a payment to Anzalone Electric for a Tesla charging station. It's an unbudgeted expense. There is no public benefit to it since it's a private station. There is no capability to meter the electric coming through the station, so we have no way of charging user fees. And there's no benefit to the township, who does not currently operate any electric vehicles.
May I speak to that, Mayor?
Yes.
Well, first of all, it's not a Tesla charging station. It's a 50 amp outlet.
Well, I recommend
And
I recommend you read the bill, because the bill says Tesla charging station.
Well, I'm going to correct that, Committeeman Coggins,
Okay?
and say it's not a Tesla charging station.
Okay.
It's a 50 amp outlet that replaces the 10 volt outlet that was on that station.
Is it budgeted?
It is budgeted. That's how we're paying it. That's how you're paying it.
Where is it in the budget?
It's coming out of the 2,000. You can't pay an item without being budgeted, can you?
I don't see a line item in the budget to.
Can you pay a bill without it being in the budget?
You cannot, but there is not a
Okay.
line item in the
So
budget.
is it being paid?
There is not a line item in the budget to upgrade to a 50 amp service for charging of electric vehicles.
That might be a point of conversation, but it is budgeted.
Well, I think it's a fact, but
It's not a fact.
show me in the budget where we're upgrading to an electric charging
Where is
station.
it, where is it coming out of the budget part? Is it coming out of FCAO?
Yes, you
Okay,
have to,
then
you
it's
have
bu-
to
then it's
charge,
budgeted.
you have to charge a budget line.
So what part of line is it?
I don't recall, I might have to look at the purchase order, I'm not sure whose book has the purchase order.
Do you take a personal car home?
I do not take a personal car.
Do you use your personal car at work?
I do, and I put no reimbursements for my own personal car. I do not take a take-home car, which was allowed from the previous administrator that had an estimated cost of $20,000 a year. I don't use that. There are other employees that have electric vehicles in this municipality, and they are allowed to use it. And if you look outside today, there is no electric vehicle in there. But,
How are we-
but to term it as my Tesla charging station is disingenuous.
Nobody said it was your Tesla charging station, so I take it maybe you're taking personal offense
I'm
to that.
not taking personal,
But
who else in the room would it be?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking. The township does not own any electric vehicles.
The township does not own, but under the flow grants, we can create.
So we're putting
For
the
that.
cart before the horse then.
Now, you're providing a 50 amp outlet relative to anybody that wants to use that particular station. That's what you're doing.
So
And it
any-
is budgeted.
Can that charge an ambulance?
It can charge an ambulance, it can continue to charge an ambulance.
So any taxpayer who wanted to plug into that outlet would be entitled to do that.
Correct.
Can we make that public?
I think you just did.
I don't know. I don't see where it's public on
I'm
the website.
just an administrator. You're the legislator.
Okay.
So if you'd like to make that public, you more than welcome can. But please don't
I-
be disingenuous
I would
with
not
something
make,
that was.
I would not make
was-
it public unless there was a way to meter it, so we could accrue the cost to the user.
That's a different conversation. And
No,
you
it's
can-
not.
And
It's
you
the
can
same
continue
thing.
to charge that. But again, it's an open public outlet that was there prior. And it could be used for anybody that wants to use it. And today it's not being used. This is a
So
matter.
any member of the public, if I understand you correctly, could come in and plug an electric vehicle charger into this outlet and use it with no fee being assessed to the individual. Is that what you're saying?
You're the legislator.
I'm just
So
asking.
you're the legislator, I will implement the policy.
Well,
So if you want to have this conversation, we can continue to have this
I
conversation.
think we should have the conversation before we install an upgraded outlet for charging electric vehicles.
The electric vehicle could be used by anyone that wants to use it. If there was an existing outlet there already,
Was that particular outlet used for the ambulances in the past?
correct.
It was used by Atlanticare
Atlanticare.
for a paramedic unit that they stationed here a number of years ago.
So
But it was also our station, you know, for whatever.
that particular outlet is big enough to handle, or will be big enough to handle that?
It's not currently, but would be if we upgrade.
It's not fair for you to say you're thirsty and then I claim you have a drinking problem, right? So you can't just say it's a Tesla charging station and then say it's Gary DeMarzo's and sit there and.
Well, first of all, I never said it was Gary DeMarzo's, number one.
Mr. Coggins,
Number two,
please.
I
Mr.
challenge you to
Coggins,
read the
please.
bill list.
I did read
And
the
you will
bill
see on the bill list where it says Tesla charging
I
station.
did see the bill.
That's how it was
And
built.
I'm correcting you. And so whether it's a Ford, whether it's a Leaf.
I didn't prepare
whether
the
it's-
bill list. I'm just basing
And
this
I'm
on
just,
what I
and I'm
said.
just answering your question, Mr. Coggins. Right? So it's not specific to that particular vehicle.
All right, well,
Maybe we should have taken it off before we put it on the bill.
Maybe.
we had a
I will-
motion to pay the bills, and it was second. And then you asked for it to be amended.
An amended motion, yes.
Jay, do you want to amend your motion?
No,
Mark, do you still want a second?
Yes.
I will remind the committee that the services have been performed by Anzalone Electric. And it was charged to the building and grounds line.
Okay.
Okay. Barbara, will you please call the roll?
Okay, Mr. Coggins?
No.
Ms. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
yes,
Mr. Bancroft?
Yes.
Mayor Corson?
Yes.
Motion is carried. 2 in favor and 1 no. Public comment.
Okay, at this time, we'll open it up to the public. Is there anyone in the public that would like to address township committee?
Good afternoon, good evening, Barbara Leary, Seville. Couple things. The LifeLock program, there's a group, and I think I forwarded you the information about Cape Atlantic Contact. I've supported that volunteer organization for a number of years. They do calls to seniors and people with disabilities over 47 years old. So, you know, it might be an opportunity to collaborate because they have a volunteer base already. So just wanted to make sure that it's an opportunity out there if you want to, you know, take advantage of it or reach out to them. I'm not really familiar with LifeLock, so just, I heard it's moving forward, so just want to put that out there. Regarding the Segway, he's at Caledonia right now, going up and down the street in Caledonia Avenue, or Road in Seville, so I passed him on the way here, so that was that. And a quick question, and it's ironic, because I was going to follow up with a question about charging stations in Upper Township. I know several meetings ago, they were talking about maybe putting one for the public in the park in Palermo. Was that still on the docket? Is that still being looked into? Because I have a number of friends with kids that have electric vehicles that are coming from out of state, and I went on Google, and there's nothing in Upper Township for a
We're
charging
actually
station.
Looking at multiple things, we're exploring it with grant options. And one of them was the ShopRite Shopping Center.
Okay.
And
We had a brief discussion with Blanche too, and it'd be a definite asset in terms of, you know, just business, you know, for businesses, et cetera, to be able to provide that information. And just for clarity, because I really didn't understand what was happening up there, is that available to the public, that charging station on the side? I just want clarity, yes or no?
well, it's just an outlet.
Well, if somebody has a 50 amp car that they need to get charged, can they use that outlet? I don't think it was clear what the answer was up here.
It's there for safety. It's there for safety because there is nothing in this area.
Okay,
So if you have an electric vehicle and you have range anxiety and you're looking for some place to come in and just get 25 miles, 30 miles, That's the basic line to charge one of those vehicles.
Well,
And so
that's-
having one of those vehicles, Barbara, it does become, for my wife or to whoever's driving, and the closest one is in Atlantic City or Cape May.
I think there's one, Rio Grande has, I was looking to see.
That's it, Cape May
And,
Courthouse.
yep, and I think there's one in Summers Point, but seriously, I can see the anxiety, you know what I mean? So, but I mean, if it's open to the public, you need to, and it said taxpayers only, you're not gonna be able to monitor that. And it definitely, you don't want it to become a feeding frenzy. I don't know how much, I think when I looked it up, it can range from $10 to $30 a charge. I don't know about 50 amp, that's not my wheelhouse at all. But I just wanted clarity to that conversation. So Blanche can go to the Upper Township Business Association and say there is a 50 amp outlet at the municipal building that can be
Correct.
used. Okay,
Where there wasn't once one before, correct?
We were exploring grant options though with our grant writer and Paul, and we actually talked about doing one at the new park.
Well, we received a partial grant for several stations up at Busy's Point Park. We're still trying to work out the implementation and the costing for that, so it's still in the review stage at this point.
And those stations are tens of thousands of dollars, the ones that we're looking at from the flow grants.
We're addressing that through several different ways, through the planning board and also through this committee, through grant funding. And also the planning board's looking at, new shopping centers or businesses that are coming in, having to have like minimum amounts of parking, those types of charging stations, that kind of thing. This is a temporary fix to, appease an emergency situation, but the future plan is to be able to have stations throughout the township that charge, that people can go and have their vehicle
Like, the
charged.
planning board's looking at, I think the number was 50, anything over 50 parking spots, you have to have a certain percentage, 1 or 2 or whatever, it goes up as like the shopping center or something like ShopRite, it would go up.
And that would be for new projects.
Yeah,
New
not-
projects.
yeah,
Not for
existing.
existing.
We can't go back in time and but we've talked to the ShopRite early on and they're amenable to putting one in there, just like the Acme did in courthouse.
I think it's important to have. I think that's, it's something that I don't know how, if you get grant money, it's not gonna cost us anything. I think you had talked initially about having it make money for us, but then you have the insurance and all that, and I totally understand. It's like, now you become a small business in a sense, so, and that's certainly not a role that you wanna take
I think the ones
on.
in courthouse were put in by the Tesla Corporation. And there's some kind of, I don't know how it works, just like a parking meter with something on your phone, you pay to fill.
I'm drawing a blank here, but it's, I don't know whether it's Mrs. Celta, she has a transportation grant program for nonprofits. I'm not sure whether this would fall in line with that.
Well, we're pursuing
Charging
it pretty
stations.
vigorously with the flow and the state transportation grant. And then
Okay.
once you get that particular, and I think we've acquired that grant, second grant is the installation.
Okay.
But those are big projects. This one here is for safety and proximity.
Okay.
That's what this is.
Well, I appreciate you answering it. It was just a little, I
all right.
just want to get clarity, so appreciate it. Thank you.
Good evening, members of the committee. My name is Ray Wendt. I'm a partner with the law firm of Nemad, Davis & Goldstein. I'm here on behalf of Dr. Mark Berger and Dr. Victoria Green. They're the owners of 2 West Winthrop Avenue in Strathmere. I'm pretty sure you know why I'm here. I'm here for the Deauville. As you know, I submitted a pretty lengthy complaint on July 27th outlining just some of the violations that we've observed and chronicled over the past 2 months during this heavy summer season. I presume you all have a copy of that.
Yes.
Dottie McCrossin has submitted a partial response to those. I submitted a response to that today. I emailed everybody on that same list. I don't know if you all received that or not. I'm not here to argue the case. I understand and appreciate that you appreciate the gravity of what I'm suggesting will happen here. And that means I'm going to go to court. And I'm going to ask the court to appoint me the special prosecutor if I can, if this doesn't start happening. The statute provides for that. Mr. Reeves is going to talk to you tonight about that, and I very much appreciate you taking it seriously and having this executive session. It's important. I don't know what's going to happen. I can guarantee you two things. I'm going to make a lot of money, and Mr. Reeves' bill to you guys is going to be very high. That's all I can guarantee is going to come out of this, unless we can sit down and resolve it now, or somebody's going to get hurt. In the meantime, I've been advised that there have been additional violations at the Deauville since we've submitted the letter, since Ms. McCrossan has submitted a response indicating that her client's going to finally start complying. On August 5th, loud pipe music is playing until 10:30 p.m. The music is supposed to stop at 10. Take a moment to count to just 2 minutes by yourself quietly. That's a long time. Now try 5 minutes. Now think about how long 10 minutes is. Think about how long 20 minutes is. I get my workout in about 25 minutes in the morning. 30 minutes after they're supposed to shut down. After I submit my letter to you saying we're going to court. August 5th. August 6th, septic pumping began at about 7:15. We have video. We'll be submitting this as well as a supplement to what we've already given you. Loud DJ music on August 7th, 9:49 p.m. Again, 19 minutes is a long time. It's half of a college basketball game. Somebody can't go over and shut things down. Even if the music is playing midstream, how long is the longest song you know?
Minute and a half.
Shut it down after that song. There's no excuse. They're spitting in the face of your laws. And when either Judge Shepard or Judge Pickering sees how many times they've come in here for forgiveness, rather than to preemptively come in for permission, movie night, for instance, just the latest. When the judge sees how many times they've done that, you better believe the judge is going to take it seriously. Perhaps more concerning is, with respect to movie night, when we submitted our letter and the Deauville posted on Facebook that they weren't going to have movie night, there was an outpouring supposedly of people saying, oh, we love movie night. Hey, listen, I like movie night too. But someone related to the Deauville, employed by the Deauville, or related to the Deauville, posted a neighbor's address on the Facebook page, which was followed by comments, and we have screenshots of all of it, one of which is somebody from the Deauville saying, well, let's go over to that person's house. It's party time. BYOB, turn up the music. As recently as this weekend, an employee of the Deauville was caught taking photographs of my client's house and another neighbor's house who has voiced objection. We have that person's picture. Whether or not police charges are going to be filed, we don't know yet. This is ridiculous. And it's shameful. With that, I don't know what the parameters of your executive session are, except that you're discussing this issue. I don't know if any decisions are going to be made afterwards, such that I should remain afterwards. Dan, if you could maybe give us a little preface on that. I don't expect a decision tonight. I know I made a deadline of August 3rd. That's lawyer talk. Dan knows I'm a reasonable guy. I'm not going to run to court tomorrow or August 4th or tomorrow, but I am going to go, and I know where it is. So please, we're begging you. Don't let this go on anymore, and don't slap them with a 5-day fine on February 5th. Or a 5-day suspension of their license on February 5th, or something that's non-meaningful. When you hear what Mrs. Quarantini is going to say, and I don't know if you've seen her letter that she just submitted this afternoon, the ABC violations alone are just mind-boggling. So please, we're asking for your help again. Thanks.
Thank you. Dan?
We're going to talk at length in closed session. I have a number of suggestions that we're going to make. Gary and I have been discussing our proposed response. Without going into it too much detail, I think there's a number of administrative steps that are going to need to be taken before we start taking legal steps. There's a number of allegations. When you talk about suspending or taking action against a liquor license, it is a quasi-judicial process. subject to rules of evidence, and so we need to make sure, and not questioning any of the allegations, but we need to make sure that allegations have been substantiated. And so, again, I recommend that we hold off on further discussion between us until we get to closed session.
Will we be talking about it after closed session?
I don't anticipate we will.
Thank you.
I just don't want you to sit.
Well, the clock's running for my clients, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to help your clients here a little bit. Okay. Yes, sir, Ted.
Ted Kingston, Strathmere. I would just like to follow up with, I've been in a lot of battles over the years. I mean, we went through de-annexation. There was nothing hotter than that. And yet I've never seen nothing like this doxing of the neighbors on Facebook and all. That's just pretty sleazy and low life. I mean, the Deauville has not been good actors. They haven't been good actors from the very beginning. The reason I'm here, I wrote you all a letter. I just wanted to show up, being as I wrote a letter, face the music if there is any. My message is real simple. It's like, we went on for months and months and months in the planning board. It wasn't a whole lot that was done by the planning board, but now that's being disregarded. I mean, I think the solution here is real simple. The township needs to enforce the planning board resolution. It doesn't need to be relitigated. We don't need to be saying, is this fair or is that fair? That was all gone on ad nauseum at the planning board meetings. It's been decided. It's like both sides need to live up to that planning board resolution. It's pretty simple. I don't know how complicated it gets if they won't live up to it, but that's on them. What I'm asking, I think, is on the township, is to tell them they have to live up and specify where they need to live up to that planning board resolution.
Some of it does have time frames, like the sidewalk and all that. That's spring of '23.
Well, and I get that the sidewalks.
The noise and all that. Yes.
All right,
Needs
but
to be enforced.
I mean, I know how this is going to go with the sidewalk. Next summer, we're going to hear all the excuses about why that couldn't happen or whatever. It's like they were given the extra time at the planning board. People were asking for it to be done for this summer, and they said there was reasons that they couldn't have it done for this summer, and they asked for next year. Well, that needs to be done by next year. We don't need to start talking about it next year. It needs to be done by next summer.
It is on the radar, Ted.
Okay?
It is on the radar.
The other thing that goes on a little bit, and I realize part of it's just for PR, if you want to be the Facebook lawyer and win court on Facebook. But this deal, like they're selling, and I've heard them say it in here, it's like, well, the Deauville was here first, and all these people that have bought their homes since then are now complaining about the Deauville. I've lived in that house since 1960. When I was a kid, my father used to go down to Deauville. You had to knock on the door, and if they didn't know you, they wouldn't unlock the door. You didn't get in. I remember my father put in an electrical service for him because the lights were flickering. There would be 3 cars in the parking lot. One of them was the owner's. So the concept that they were here first is just bull. But even if that was true, it's just a red herring. Like the zoning ordinance, nowhere in the zoning ordinance that I'm aware of does it say, if you were here first, you can do whatever you want and everybody else has to put up with it. We have a zoning ordinance because it's a community and everybody has to live by it. And that means the Deauville too. It's like this stuff that they were here first. The owners that are causing the problems have been here 3 years, and like everybody here that's been complaining has been here a lot longer than that. I've been here since 1960. So, I mean, that kind of, I realize it's a Facebook argument, but once again, it goes at their credibility. Like, what kind of lawyer stands here and makes that argument? Like, what is this, Rudy Giuliani School of Law or something? I mean, it's kind of, you know, if there's legitimate arguments to be made, they've already been made at the planning board sessions. And now it's time for them to live up to it. I guess the homeowners need to live up to it too. We were told we had to live up with it. So does the Deauville, you know, and it's just, I know I'm going on and on, but it it kind of grates at you. It's like enough is enough. Their bluff needs to be called. If they won't live by the planning board ordinance, then do what you got to do to make them live up to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ted. Is there anyone else in the public?
Good evening, Blanche Adams, Steelman Town. Two very positive comments that I'd like to make. The first is, as I'm representing the Tuckahoe United Methodist Church, I just wanted to let you know that for a couple of months, we've been partnering with the Community Food Bank of Southern New Jersey. And I was happy to bring them to our church so that we could serve the residents of Upper Township, Tuckahoe specifically, and also the surrounding communities. And they were happy to have our partnership because they wanted to grow in the northern end of the county. So the church provides the parking lot and the volunteers, and the Community Food Bank provides a refrigerated truck that sometimes has frozen meat, fresh dairy, or produce boxes, along with canned goods and things like that. So I communicate with Larry Cole, so he promotes it for me. So I want to thank the committee for their support through that. It's on your website and your social media, and as another way to get out this wonderful service to the residents of Upper Township. So the next one is August 24th. And it's just from 9:30 to 11:30, but we are serving anywhere between 30 and 40 families that come through there. And I see the same families a lot of times every month. So I know that we're doing a great service, and we just appreciate your support. And I wanted you to know what was going on in Tuckahoe. And then the second thing is the Upper Township Business Association welcomed a new member that I wanted to let you know about, and it's called Stratty Paddle in Whale Beach. So they are a new business. They do paddleboard fitness, paddleboard yoga, and paddleboard other kind of fitness things. So it's just a positive thing. I'm happy that they wanted to expand their business into Upper Township. And just something positive. And I thank you for your support of the business community, too.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Janice Connell, President of the Strathmere Improvement Association. Thank you, Gary, for your kind words about our meeting that we had today with Juliet Schluchter, my vice president. We agree completely that it was a very constructive meeting. And I'd also like to say it was not only constructive, it was enlightening and extremely satisfying to me to hear about the proactive actions that the township has already taken before we've even had to talk about collaborating on improvements. They've already been very proactive on those improvements, and in addition, some of the actions that have already been taken to address some of the serious issues that face Strathmere. So I just wanted to say thank you for all of that. We look forward to working collaboratively with you on future projects and initiatives, not only that pertain to Strathmere, but that pertain more broadly to Upper Township. On another subject, I heard all of the concerns and allegations expressed by the folks here today regarding the Deauville and the resolution that was passed, and we feel that the township will obviously appropriately address all of these allegations and concerns, and the SIA is very much willing to work with everyone, all of the stakeholders, to get a solid resolution to the issue going forward. Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the public? Hearing no more public comments, we're going to entertain a motion to go into closed session.
I'd like to make a motion in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act to discuss the following: personnel and potential litigation with the Duville Inn for alleged violations.
And I'm sorry, if we could add one more, the contract with Mark Shorts.
And also the contract with Mark Schwartz. I also include in my motion the estimated time and circumstances under which the discussion conducted in closed session can be disclosed to the public as follows. It is anticipated that the matters discussed in closed session may be disclosed to the public upon the determination of the Township Committee that public interest will no longer be served by such confidentiality. With respect to employment and personnel matters, such discussions will be made public if and when formal action is taken or when the individuals involved consent that it can be made public. With respect to contract negotiations, such matters will be made public when negotiations have ceased and there is no longer a reason for confidentiality. With respect to litigation matters, such discussions will be made public when litigation is complete and the applicable appeal period has expired.
Second.
Please call roll.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Ms. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mr. Pankos?
Yes.
Mayor Forte?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, we want to take a minute or?